Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our final demo today with two great artists. One little housekeeping thing before we go. Please turn your cell phones off. Okay? Thank you much. Susan Abundis is here from Copachan, Mexico, where she studied industrial design at the University. Americana. From a very early age, she began to draw a human figure, and over the years, she has learned a variety of fine art techniques. Please welcome Susana.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next demo artist is Katheleen Giles. She's a signature member of American Watercolor Society, a master signature of National Watercolor Society, and a member of the International Guild of Realism. She has won many awards and is a popular workshop instructor. Please welcome Katheleen.
So are we on? Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Okay.
Hello.
All right. So you want to? I guess I'll just start by saying that I wet the back of my paper, and I'm going to turn it over and wet the front. So I don't know what your. I already wet it, and I was letting the water sink in a little bit. It'll just give me more working time.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to start wetting my paper too. My process always takes me a lot of hours because I like to make so many layers to get some kind of nice skin, but it takes so many days. So I'm trying to do a short work here and try to finish. This is a portrait of a girl of Oaxaca in Mexico. Her name is Micaela, and she's really, really beautiful. That's why I choose her to make this demo. So I hope I can finish and you like it.
Yeah, same thing with me. This painting would take days, so not an hour and a half. I'm going to show you how I start. I start by wetting the paper everywhere. I do not have any masking fluid on here. I also have another painting that I did a little more work on so that I can pull that out after a little while and show you how I finish a little bit. I was going to put a little mask on this for his hairs, and my masking fluid exploded on the airplane. So I had it in a gallon bag with my paints, and I opened it up and I had some gesso in there. I just came from teaching in Arizona, and I looked at it and I thought, oh my gosh. So I just didn't even bother with it. But I can pull hairs out later with a razor blade, so that's not a big deal. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So I'm going to start with some yellow and start to build my value pattern while my paper's really shiny wet. I forgot to switch my glasses. Wait a minute. So I usually narrate when I'm painting, so I guess I'll talk a little bit, and if Susana, right?
Yes.
Susana, if you want me to just say, Kathy, it's my turn.
Okay, don't worry. I usually can't speak very much while I'm painting, but if you want to ask me something, I can answer you. So you can talk freely, dear Kathleen.
Okay, so I use triads, and all triads make grays. So I start with my yellow, start to get a little bit, I'm really super, super wet right now. So as I paint, I start to get drier and drier and start to build my value pattern. So let's see how this goes. So I want to go drier now because everything's just floating away. I've got such a shine here. Another thing that happens when I paint like this, I'm also actually picking up water off of the paper. So I'm always tamping on here to control the water. So I can put yellow under everything here. The only place I wouldn't want to put yellow is if I had a clean blue. I should have showed you, this is what I'm painting, just so everybody knows where I'm going. Oh, I could just set it here, duh. So that's my husband. I'm not doing the green. I just did a similar scene of him, and it's in a show and won an award. It won first place in the, I can't think of the name of the show. The online show, the school. No. Right. Yeah, Richardson? Cool. Richardson, yeah. So, okay, so now I'm going to go in with my pink and start to build up his flesh tones here. And then because I can make, I know that there's orange under his hair, I can go right into that as well. I'm asking myself if that's a little too pink. But
Yes. Hi. Okay. She is really beautiful. She is very young, and she works modeling the clothes from a community where they make the embroidery. She models, and the photographer is really good, and he allowed me to use this photograph to make these demos today. But she really is a Mexican beauty. What? This well, like Hun Sung. I try to paint like him with this brush.
so I'm painting the whites of his eyes pink. A lot of times, students want to leave the eyes white even when they're in shadow, and that is not correct, really. It's so interesting that when we knock things down to the value that they are, when we have the courage, to show those shadows, that's what makes something look realistic. When we're afraid to graze something down or push it back, then we wonder why it looks flat. So you really have to have the confidence to go in there and put a little value on things that aren't really white. which comes with time, right? Takes time. I'm adding touches of blue. That's my skin triad. It grays the orange down. And even when I paint dark skin, I use a similar triad. Showing up.
Can you lend me some hair dryer or something?
I've got one right here. It's a heat gun. It gets hot. Don't set your paper on fire.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Permanent yellow light, permanent rose, and Windsor blue or phthalo blue red shade. So now I'm getting drier, and I am gently brushing over the paper, and I'm getting almost to a dry brush application. I call it damp brush. I'm getting this damp color in. And you know it's going to dry too light, and I'm trying to be bold with my color, but in reality, to make skin look realistic, I feel like I usually do probably at least 4 glazes.
I'm going to try to make an effect with the granulating colors for the hair. So I hope it works.
As long as my paper is evenly wet, I can keep working in here. But when it starts to dry, then I have to be careful. And I'm just wondering now, I hope it's going to go all right. Hoping I'm still wet enough to do this. Now the paint I just applied is wetter than the drying paper. So I have to make the paint thicker and drier so that I can control it and not just, starting to create a blossom. So I just have to go back and try to work a little drier, but then I got to just spread it all over.
Yes? Okay, I'm using Lunar Black, Soda Light Genuine. It's like some kind of blue. And Rose of Ultramarine. I like to combine them because when they start to separate with the water, the colors, the blues and the pinks emerge. And I like that. I like that very much. The Soda Light Genuine. Ay, ya volví a meter la mano aquí. Yes? It's gamboge yellow, gamboge yellow or yellow gamboge, vermilion, burnt sienna, and a little bit of ultramarine blue. So now I'm going to try to the color starts moving. And with clean water, I'm going to help to make some ways from the water to move.
I also have some gamboge in my yellow here that I'm using. They're sharing a well, and I never used to use it because it wasn't really known as a light, fast color, but Daniel Smith just came out with one that is light, fast, and I really like it. So I'm entering it into my work. It's very vibrant, very orange. It's transparent, yeah. Yeah, all my paints are transparent stainers. This brush is just irreplaceable. Right now it's a rounded filbert. It used to be a cat's tongue from Cheap Joe's, but I've used it for so many years. My husband put pins in it or something because it was falling apart. It wiggles a little bit, all the paint's off it. But my students have bought it, and it just doesn't seem to be the same quality. Did I say it's a Cheap Joe's 50/50? You could try it. It's a cat's tongue, like I say, but as it transformed itself into a more of a filbert shape, I found that I love painting with filberts. I couldn't do what I do with a pointed round. It's too pokey. I need this smoothness to get these soft edges that are on skin. I'm damp. My paper it has lost its shine, but it's quite wet. I wet the back thoroughly, and it is damp. It's moving a little bit. This is 140 pound. Depends. You're asking me. I just was teaching a workshop, and people say, "Do you always do so-and-so?" And I said, "There's no always in watercolor. There's always an exception, always an exception." So every painting and every subject, now see, I'm starting to get into some more delicate business. I just won these travel brushes from Escoda. Oh, really, really nice. But now when I want to curve around his nostril, I'm going to get, now I'll get a pointed round in here.
Blue is Sleeping Beauty, Cobalt Teal, and Turquoise. That's a mix. Yes, I'm trying to do the edge, to soft the edge, to give the painting some atmosphere. Because I'm doing this effect with the water. You can see it.
So I already feel like I've got enough value here that you could see how I work. And this is setting up so much that I would have to, dry this and let it wet, because even though it's a transparent stainer, you can disturb that underwash. And that's when we get weird stuff on our paper and we say, oh, there's something wrong with our paper, but it may be us. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get this one out. And this is a little farther. I put his sweater in and a little hair, okay? So I'm going to wet the back of this one too, because it'll give me some time. I have a pencil drawing. We both had a pencil drawing. I try to just do contour lines. I don't like a lot of pencil. Sometimes you'll see people, it's like they've shaded the eyes and everything. I don't do that. And I do find that the little scrubby tools, I have the Fritch scrubbers from Cheap Joe's. If you go over your paper with those, if you have an edge, you got a really light cheek or something, and you have an edge that has pencil, I will hit it with my little scrubber, and I can usually get it off. I got to put her here for a second. This is my painting Fabriano. She was in Fabriano, the Fabriano Prize, and she won 4th place a couple years ago. This is Tears for Ukraine. I got to see what she's doing over here. Oh, she's doing a lot of color.
Okay.
Somebody else already asked me. I got it on, I don't know, it just says BOMEI pack. It's a black tape. I found it on Amazon. And it seems to really hold a line. And like I was just demonstrating in Arizona, and I used it to just put it on dry paper to hold the horizon line, painting water, and it worked great. Okay, he's flat enough, I guess. So I want to get his shirt up to a black, and I don't think I'm quite there yet. But I don't know. I was going to tell you something about value, but Susana, do you have something you want to share first?
No, you can go.
All right. I warned you. So,
okay. I'm trying to start putting some kind of value tones map. So try to put the lights, the midtones, and the shadows in the first layer. Then I'm gonna try to put some layers to make the color brighter. But first I have to mark where the shadows are going to be and to save the lights. The face is almost dry because I need to make layers. I have to have the paper dry, so the next layer is not going to dirt the paint. Yes.
I that gives me a chance to hawk my show. In November, I'm doing a one-woman show, and it's actually just a restaurant near where I live. And I did put some mask on here. Look at that. I must have done it at home. So I have 46 paintings for the show, and I need them all. So it'll be old ones, new ones, barely dry ones. But anyway, if anyone's interested in original, it will be online simultaneously if I get them all posted. I have cards right there. It'll go live on my website, KathleenGiles.com or KGilesStudio.com. It'll go live on Wednesday, November 6th, the day after Election Day. Here in the U.S., we're all going to need a break, especially if you live in the swing states like Arizona, where I never saw so many commercials in my whole life for politics. But it's the day after Election Day. So it'll go, the opening reception is that day, and then it'll go live online as well. And everybody's having trouble selling their paintings here. I know we have some foreign visitors, but the economy has not been great for selling original paintings. So it's a big thing. Like, are we going to slash our prices? Are we going to stick to our guns? I'm going to have some that are, really reasonable, and other ones it's like, no, you're not getting this cheap. So you just have to have a balance, I guess. When I travel, I bring them. But I do sell originals on the road, my portraits. But like I say, nothing, I needed them all right now. Anything I had is going to be in the show. How you doing, Susana?
Good. I'm good. I'm sometimes when I try to make some details, it's a little difficult for me to talk, but if you want to know something, just ask me.
Oh, it's difficult to talk when she's doing details. So I had a Lego hat going on here. Did you know what I mean? You do the hair and it looks like it's a Lego hat. So what you want to do is you want to take your skin color and just dance right up along next to that and soften it. We want them to bleed together. It's always just, you got to kind of scrub in there. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to try to, I did say my prayers. I'm going to try to get this darker without screwing it up. So I've got to get his skin up to the value that it really is. And my brush is too small. So when you find yourself brushing a lot, you got the wrong brush. This is a very expensive tool. It's a car wash sponge. I just felt like I was going through 10,000 rolls of paper, and I thought, well, why don't I put a sponge in? So I got a couple car wash sponges, and I wrap them in quite a few layers of paper towel. And depending on how much I paint, sometimes they're totally saturated, because I do this a lot, even when I'm thinking, I like tapping. But sometimes I'll just turn it over and use the other side the next day. So economical. I actually bought these at Home Depot, but I'm sure all the stores have them. So I'm mixing a triad, and I keep just going and going till I think I have the right ratio, and then I'm just going to put it on and see what I got. So again, I'm going to come along my hairline now that it's wet and just let that bleed out a little bit. I just put some color on here and it's not moving enough. I'm going to take my other hand and just put a little bit of color in and touch the other side, just gently. And I'm encouraging it to blossom up.
Yes? I hope I can make her justice.
Oh, you can't do her justice? You know what I always tell everybody? Don't show them your reference. You know? My students like that. Takes the pressure off. How did I mix this color, you ask? And I've got a different brush I'm using now, and this is a very inexpensive brush. This is, I'm trying to think what I used. I don't know, I have to mix it again. I wasn't thinking about it. Like I wasn't, you know, if I don't say it, I think this was my pink and yellow, and then I added in Windsor blue. I don't think I may have added Perline maroon and indanthrone, but I did it kind of unconsciously. Sometimes it's just, you know, you just do it. You don't always think. So he's got a light bounce under his chin, and I'm trying to save that. Let's see. This might be a good place for some dry brush or damp, whatever. Dry brush, I guess. Let's see. So I am ambidextrous. It's very helpful. Right here, I could run into trouble. A fire alarm? Are you kidding me? Oh, okay. I was going to say my paper's going to dry. Well, let's say a prayer that they find the missing child. So that went pretty smooth. Susana, you want to say something? Because I got something else I could say.
Okay. Now I'm starting to make a little bit more detail from the face, but it's not the finally colored yet.
Yikes. Yeah, if your cell phones were off. No, my phone was off and it still did it, yeah.
What kind of alert is that?
We planned that to wake everybody up. So when I get to this point where I'm starting to get some good darks in, that's when I think this happens to everybody. You get the darker value in, and you're feeling really good, and then you realize that the other color that you were already putting in isn't quite dark enough. So then you have to go back and build your other values. So I always say, if the middle values are not intense enough, they will look washed out. So don't not put the darks in. Put the darks in, but get those middle values up where they need to be. And that's what we need, that light, medium, and dark to really have a great, I'm a value painter, and I think you just got to have that, but that's me.
I agree with you, Kathleen. Sometimes I feel that a color is really dark, and when I put some dark color next to it, I see that the color is really light. So that's why I'm trying to go from lighter to darker. So I can't. I don't want to lose my lights, but try to go by layers and doing everything so I can check the values. And now I'm trying with the dry brush. So I control a little bit more where I'm putting the painting, and try to soften the edges.
I'm trying to build a black here. That's better. Let's see. So I start with a transparent stainers, but then as I go, then sometimes you just want a little punch of color, and I'll take something more vibrant. I'm going to take a little of this. I don't know, it's turquoise or something I got in here. And I'm going to try running this over here to just give me a little more pizzazz. And because compliments entertain the eye so much, it just, you think of a poinsettia with the green and yellow the red and green. So many examples. The orange sunset over the blue ocean. It has so much drama. So because his skin is orange, I want to have some of this pretty blue in his sweater. And then if this dries in time, I would like to do a coat of blue over his skin as well. But I think I'll get some eyes in. See if I can get this up to a darker value.
I'm going to make, I don't know, it's glacé, some thin layer of painting, glaze, to the face, so I can make the colors a little bit brighter. Yes, the paper has to be really dry, because the painting can lift. And I usually do a very, very light layer. Uh-oh. is too much color.
I'm trying to put some color on his nose, and I got too much on there, and I was just, another thing that I teach is that you don't really want to blot with the tissue, because if I'm trying to keep this evenly wet and I blot it with the tissue, then I've dried the paper and created an uneven surface, and I'm going to more likely to get run backs and weird paper marks that I don't want. And when that happens, you either got to spritz it or hair dry it or something. I'm going to mix up a little lighter color, and now I want to use a flatter brush. It's actually a filbert, but now if I drag it through here, I should be able to get some texture on here. A little too wet. Get some texture on here for a beard. Men are definitely easier to paint than women because there's texture and you can have marks on their face. If they look rough, you can just pretend it's beard. You know, it's easier. No, my grandmother used to try to make me use my right hand because I've thought of that. And I used to say, Grandma, it hurts me. It just hurts your nervous system. But as I got older, I don't know. I think I just started using my non-dominant hand sometimes, and I've developed to be able to do it pretty well. Yeah, I was just playing a little teapot, and I kept switching from left to right. So I don't know if that means that I'm brain damaged or what, but... When there's a delicate transition, like the side of the nose, and you're not sure, where the color is, I always ask myself, how do I know that line's there? And then I just try to see which side it's on. We got to get some darks around the eyes. How are we doing on time? Good. So my guy's eyes are quite shadowed through here.
Now I make the glaze and trying to use the wet paper to put a little bit more color, and it gets soft because it's wet. I don't have to try to soften because the color blends very easy because everything is wet. Because I made a glaze, so I take the humidity to try to to put more color, and the colors blend easier.
Older skin, as we know, gets more texture. So sometimes that makes it, I guess, easier to paint. I feel like it, I guess it helps it look more realistic. My husband, I painted him quite a few times, and I did a painting of him a couple years ago, and he looked at it and he said, "Am I really that wrinkled? Is my neck really that wrinkled?" And I said, "Well, yeah, kind of, it is." And he goes, "Okay, then." And I said, "But you know what?" I said, I had to exaggerate the wrinkles and texture to make it look more real. And then I heard him tell somebody she had to exaggerate the wrinkles to make it look real. And I just thought that was cute that he did have that vanity bone, who wants to look, you want to have your best thing, but really to make something look real, you want to exaggerate that stuff because that's what makes it jump off the paper, I think. I'm building up some value on the lighter part of his skin with dry brush, and he's got a little bit of a grayer mark, the outside of his Adam apple part right here, right down here. So I'm going to get into some blues and shadowing now on his skin. Oh, well, I'm not going to use green. The background on this is green, and when I'm doing a portrait, I want to keep things simple, unless it's a story. Now, the one that just won the award was him out in the woods, and that's what it was about. It was about that he's always out in the woods. Here, this is an orange and blue painting. So I would not want to introduce green. So a lot of times on paintings, I will change the background. Well, okay, how about some eyeballs on my guy? Let's see, I've got a weird looking thing right here. So I'll take a brush with maybe some cleaner water, and I do this thing, I say it's kind of like a snowplow. I'm going to wet that. In Buffalo, we know about snowplows. So I get that wet for a second, and then I take my brush and I just scrub at it a little bit, but I can push that pigment up and out of my way a little bit. And if this doesn't work, I'll use more force with, oh, it did. Pretty good. So then maybe just try to give it a little, but I've got a little blue on the paper. Once you get a little blue on the paper, it's harder to lift it. So he's got a pretty pronounced highlight right there. So at the end, I might do some finishing with the scrubby. I've saved a lot of paintings with these Fritsch scrubbers, just pulling back highlights, moving things, like something here doesn't read right. This looks weird. So then you have to do some shaping and see what's wrong. This has to come over. Actually, it looks like his nose is broken. So that means I've got to move this. I gotta move this over. But that's one of the things about just painting so long here. We can't really step back because we're trying to get so much done. Something's wrong there, though. Let's see, so this cuts in. This comes over. This comes. I want to paint his eyes. See, I don't like it when it's quiet. Do we have any questions? Are you asking me? Sure. That happens. I could put it in now. When that's what I was saying. Usually, whenever you get up to your final value, oftentimes you'll find that there's things that need to be darkened, and middle values that need to be darkened, and it just means you have more work to do. You're just and people always say, how long does it take? And I say, until it's done. Until you're happy. A lot of times you think you're done. I have an easel at the end of my hall or at the end of my kitchen set up all the time. So I'll go in and set it up and make a cup of tea or something. And then you try not to look at it for a few minutes, and then you turn around and look at it, and it's like you're either amazed at yourself or you're like, oh my gosh, I thought it looked better than that. So then you go back to, do whatever. Mine is cold. The surface is dry, and there's water inside of it. I find that you can hair dry it on the surface and keep the back moist, and it gives you more painting time. Yeah, I forgot I masked this.
I'm working in the flowers. In the meantime, I'm waiting that the face gets a little bit more dry, so I can start putting more color to trying to get to the final color in the eyes and in the face. I'm not an expert in flowers. Sometimes for me it's more easy to make a hand or a face, but a flower or a landscape is really difficult. This one?
Boy, now we got a phone. I want to get a little more shaping on his eye here and get some darks in here, and then I want to get that background in so that I can judge where I am. But I definitely need some blue in here.
The color is opera pink and burnt sienna and a little bit of ultramarine. Burnt sienna and ultramarine are colors that I use all the time for everything. Those are my favorite colors. For the mouth is opera pink, burnt sienna, and ultramarine. A little bit of ultramarine just to get a little bit darker the color. I don't understand. I didn't take this picture. Is from a friend who's a photographer. He take photos from models. Well, it's people from the town that work in a cooperative embroidering clothes. So she works embroidering, but she's the model too. Her name is Micaela. And she's very young, and for me, it's a very, very beautiful girl. And her face is, I don't know, I like it very much. So when I see this picture, I ask him to let me do for this demo. And he said, yes. Thank you very much, because I'm very happy to make this painting. He made these photographs for the store to sell the clothes. So they modeled the clothes. He takes the pictures and they put it on Instagram or Facebook to sell but it's primarily to sell the embroidery. I usually make my paintings a little bit more softer, but that takes a lot of time. Now I haven't so much time.
On a woman's face, you don't want to use a lot of blue shadows, and that's another way that men can be interesting, because I do think before I try to go too much darker on his face, that I want to get this background in. So it's just going to be an abstract color background. More reds and oranges. Where on a man, you could use more blue for, contours and shadows and things. On a woman, I would tend to use a darker red, because you don't ever want a woman to look like she has a beard, because a lot of times the blue on a man's face is some 5 o'clock shadow or something. So I'm sticking with my triad here. I'm going to take a little pink. I've already got some yellow down. I feel like I should have put some yellow up here. This is just kind of a balance thing, but if the color's coming out over here, shouldn't it be up here too? That's what it feels like. And it's just like he's looking up at whatever. He's always looking for birds. That's probably what he was actually doing, but big birder. I want to separate his face from the background. So I wouldn't just leave this orange, right? Because I want the drama. So I'm using my triad again for unity. And then when I add my blue, I think rather than add the Windsor blue, I'm going to add the Indanthrone. Indanthrone is a cousin of French ultramarine color-wise. That's the way I think of it. But it has more strength. It has more strength. French ultramarine doesn't have the staining power that Indanthrone has. So it looks a lot less colorful on the screen, so you'll have to come up. It's got a lot more color in it than it does up there. Let me put this in and I'll lift it up, because it is quite different, I think.
I have to move all the time the painting, because don't want to make stains.
We always have to remind ourselves constantly that it's going to get lighter as it dries. And I think since I used a little of that teal, since this is a demo, you want a little drama, right? I'm creeping in on my cheek just a little bit. And if I wet the cheek to try to move it, it's just going to invite it to come in more. So I'm going to just wait a minute and let it dry, and then I'll try to fix it. As you can see, it's got a lot more color, doesn't it? It's a little different. Yeah. Pardon me? Can I bring it over? Oh, no, because I got some spots I got to clean up. I did get a little splatter on his face, and I got some on this one over here. Just a second. Well, you all can come up at the end and see it, But it does look different. But every place I go, there's always issues with the camera. It's hard to get it. It's hard to get the color right. Same thing with the color matches when we, try to match our paintings. But now, as this is drying, I can see that I need more value in space, so I can go ahead with another wash. And I'm going to take a little of that more exciting peacocky color here. Not sure what this is. It's some kind of teal. We actually got some peacock here. I'm going to glaze his sweater or his t-shirt. I'll leave it a little rough. That just adds so much. It just looks a little blah, and that just perks it up. Really looks cool. Okay, so now I'm going to try and do that next wash on his face and get a little more color around his eyes. It looks like I'm going to have time. I got to hit this with a little heat. What are you doing over here? It's good.
That looks good. Like it?
Just a moment of drying here. This is a heat gun, and it's very quiet, and it gets super hot. But I'll tell you, putting the blues around the orange face, just what a difference it makes. It just makes it glow. If I had put green, then I would need more red in my skin because red and green are complements. So it just depends. But as long as we know those things, we can use that knowledge. I love painting faces. You can see from the G-clays that I brought that I paint just about everything. But there's just something about seeing a face come to life on paper. It's cool. All right, I definitely need more value around his eyes.
I agree with you. I really love to make portraits too.
Anybody have any questions? So I'm pre-wetting this again because I want a soft edge. Even though I have so many coats, I need this to be damp inside so that when I brush my color on, the water can help it spread out evenly. That's why we got to use water and watercolor. The water's the vehicle. All right, so I really want to get some blue in here. And in every step you can wreck it. You just gotta go. You gotta have the courage to finish your own painting, don't you? Because if it's sometimes safer to stop, but if it's not done, what's the sense? Okay. So he's actually bluer at the top because of the sky. The sky is reflected in the shadows. The shadows, we see the color of the sky. But getting this wet gives me so much more time. See, there comes the real shadow. Yeah, you can't really see it. I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand your question. Yeah? Mm-hmm. It's intuitive. It's a balance thing. You just, I don't know. It's just, you just kind of, I guess I usually feel like I go one way. And because there's light here, I think it makes sense to have light here. I think that's what it is. And I actually think that's what's happening here. I think I can hold this up for a second. See how much better it is with the, I don't know if I went dark enough yet, but because the light's coming in, it looks like that. I don't know, it just works, you know? It just works. Yeah, I have, on my YouTube channel, I have a wet into wet demo called The Bird Lady. And she also, I think, went to Fabriano a few years ago. But that one, I have a speed painting of how I did that. And I do that on her, too. I do I've done it on quite a few portraits where I do the blue, the peach and blue, the peach and blue and grays. And, you do it once and it's like, wow, this works. So you keep doing it, I guess. But she's on my YouTube channel. All right, this still is not dark enough now. Pardon me? Yeah, it's just Katheleen Giles and free. I've got quite a few videos on there. Something is still off with it. I think this comes out wider here. Figure what's wrong. Here. That's better.
Yes. No, it's Sleeping Beauty and Cobalt Teal and Turquoise. It is in this combination. And here is Cobalt Teal and the Sleeping Beauty. It's prismatic. Yes.
There we go. There's some. I use my baby finger as a bridge when, to steady my hand when the paper's wet. And at this stage of the painting, I'm still correcting my drawing. Like when I see something isn't quite right, I keep moving it. I think I had his pupil coming over too far, so I'm hitting it with some red paint to reshape it. I'm going to try, or his iris was coming over too far, so I'm going to try throwing his pupil in and see if it reads better. Help if I could see it. Yeah, as far as throwing that color in, do it, you know?
Now I'm getting darker colors to the details. And at this point, I usually use whatever I found in my palette, not specifically one color. I took from the colors I've been using to make darker colors and start to make sharpen forms. I put the yellows and the siennas and reds or orange, then blues, greens, and sometimes I like to have here lunar black or indigo. That's the way I try to. Okay. I've got this. This is new one, and it's very neat and organized. And this was really a disaster. So because I finish a color and then I need another one. So this yellow is not yellow anymore, and this indigo is another color. So I buy this one for this demo because I wanted to have some more organized palette. But at least it's the same. I end yes.
Yeah, I let my paint set up in my palette, and a lot of artists use fresh paint. And that's one of the different things about me. I feel that I have more control over the paint when it's more concentrated. And I figure if we let it dry out a little bit, then it is more concentrated. And when I go into each well repeatedly, I'm not contaminating the whole thing. So I see something here. His bridge felt off to me. So I'm going to use the little scrubby tool, and I'm going to just pull this over. It had gotten a little too, this is too far over a little bit. I'm just going to soften that right here. But I've saved a lot of paintings by doing that. I had a commission, and the guy just didn't look right. And I just started going around and lifting out highlights and kind of shaping with the scrubby. And I saved the painting. Well, the scrubby saved it for me, but it really does a lot. And sometimes it actually looks better to put the paint on and lift it off than if you hadn't put it on at all. It really works. I'm getting a little beard texture here with some dry brush. And I think I got to go into this again. How much time do I have? They're called, the Cheap Joe's brand are called Fritch Scrubbers. They're right here. They're just very stiff, short bristle brushes. And you can lift off and do all kinds of stuff. And you do damage the paper a little bit. So it's a finishing technique, And a lot of times, if I do lift out, I go back in. I got to go into this again. I go back in and I'll put a little bit of yellow or pink or something over the paper because sometimes the paper looks scrubbed. Another trick is to use the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and that doesn't. I don't think that damages the paper as much, but it's a little bit less controllable, I guess I would say. I'm putting a glaze of pink on here, and I'm putting on some blue. Just trying to get them up quickly to a finished value. I usually paint a lot more carefully than this, but when in Rome, My husband definitely has a farmer tan. You can see where his skin's getting light down at the bottom of his neck. Okay, a little more pink and a little more blue. Here. Yep, there I think it just looks a little browner. Well, I've enjoyed this. And I'm really glad that I'm almost done. This was pressure. Coming off of the jet lag of Arizona. And then, now I can just enjoy the demos. All right, let's get a little more blue in here. Windsor blue is a fantastic blue. It mixes well, like I say, with my triad and everything, but it lightens quite a bit. So you have to go in more than you want to. Let's see, his nose needs more shaping. I am planning to do a Zoom portrait class next year, but I haven't figured it out yet. So if you're interested, you can go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, and you'll find out when everybody else does. Well, he certainly looks healthy. Got him nice and pink. How are you doing, Susana? Are you getting close to done?
I'm thinking that I look the image in the screen, and I see very pale my painting.
Well, it looks paler up there than it is in life, isn't it?
So I'm going to have to make another glaze. Can you borrow me your this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
If I had a razor blade, well,
Huh? Yes. And she needs a little bit more hair here too. See? Huh? Okay.
so I would finish his beard later when it was totally dry. Then I would lift out highlights with a razor blade. He needs a little lip color, and I'm getting close to about as much as I'm probably going to get done. Let's see. A little more. It is about the same size, isn't it? I just have a professional printer at home that I do my giclées with. So I just print them big. And yes, I do this, and I also have it on a tablet when I'm painting. And I'm doing one. I'm doing the painting that I hope to enter in AWS, and I'm also got it on my computer. So I got it all over the place. Right. It's very helpful. I find that in the workshops that if the students don't have a good reference and it isn't big, I just really feel like I have an advantage because I can see mine better. So it does make a difference. Did my watch die? What time is it? Oh, just about.
Yes. The paper is arches, fine grain, and 300 grams.
I just got a couple spots on my paper.
Grams. Yes.
I just had a couple spots appear on my paper, and I think I put my finger in the wet wash of his cheek. And I don't know that there's much I can do about it at this point. Right there, I laid my finger there. I've actually been using it's funny, I've been using Fabriano quite a bit, but this is Arches. This is 140. Normally I paint on 300. I actually need to order paper, so. Yeah, I think I got spots there forever now. I could have gotten lotion on there or something, but oh well. I don't think anybody expects it to be perfect under these circumstances. Right?
Okay.
So it's just about 5 o'clock. I don't know if someone comes in and blows a whistle or what, but
It's time? The time is over? Okay.
what?
The time is over?
Thank you for
Oh.
coming.
Thank you. Thank you for your because you trust in me